To chime back on your question, Stephen, I'll try to make this as understandable as I can. Let's imagine 1G was 10 strands, invisible strands, that interconnected you to other cell phone users and Wi-Fi users, etc. When they went to 2, it was about 200 strands. They went to 3, it was about 3,000 strands. When they went to 4, it was about 40,000 strands. Now they've gone up to 400,000 strands. And so we always have thought in previous physics that the larger the stimulant or stimulation, the more effective it would be. As a matter of fact, therapeutically, in my energy medicine department, that was what we thought until 1982 or 3. But Einstein, who spoke 110, 111 years ago now, basically said it's a subtle frequency that allows our entire workings, anatomical workings, function, but also connects this subtle energy, us to all other life forms. Not only you to other people, but you to other life, as Gabriel just pointed out. And that was really termed in not too long ago years called zero-point gravity. And this is one of the remedies for it, and I'll describe that later. So this frightening part of this is that this is something that has been used to hurt people. We're not talking about, this is a theory, this is a philosophy. Yes, there's research and 10,000 or 25,000, but none of that research basically says the military and the Pentagon has been using it. I'm here to tell you they have been using it, 5G. That's what they've been doing. And do I think it's some conspiracy to wipe people out? Well, I would hope not. I think it's greed, as always. Greed is usually at the core of all insanity. And so let's leave it at that, but the first I proposed is a possibility. We don't know that. Right now in Austria, they're working on very thick wood homes and finding, just like you said, through windows, making particular forms of windows that you can't have this permeate, and they're getting pretty good success. In my own personal home, I put lead walls in, and they don't look like a lead wall, so you're in some kind of a nut house. They look just like the board you put up normally. You pay extra. You can get these through Home Depot and Lowe's, and you put that up, and it blocks these types of things. Now, the average person is going to say, well, how much does that cost? A lot of money. And so at least start with the room that you stay in, the room your children stay in. We start with that. And then in the future, if you're ever building a home, everything from the roof down has to be protected with that. We put together technology with Russians and Germans called high pulses, and this has overwhelming evidence behind it. We've been using it now for 2 years at Hippocrates. The individuals that Gabriel mentioned that are hypersensitive and have to really be totally away from cell towers, they're called universal conductors. And because we help all kinds of people, very sane people who want to remain healthy and young, and very sick people who don't want to die, we have a lot of these universal conductors come. So over the last 2.5 years, we've actually been observing how they're able to take lead vest off with these new technologies and everything else.
Just for a second, I want to add that this is military technology. It's acknowledged. I mentioned 20 years, you're mentioning several generations, which is even worse, right? And it is about mind control, and it is about control. It does affect your mind. It affects whether you're going to be angry or happy, or they can affect your brain, and that is proven. That's not really debatable in the military circles, and I think that's the key thing to keep aware. And so what's their intention? It doesn't matter. Mind control is not really very good for your spiritual evolvement, because you have to be free to go beyond all the barriers to wake up. So this is going to block that, puts a ceiling on our mental and spiritual development. That's a big issue, but it is mind control, it is explicit, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Let me just preface so that you're clear on how that happens. Our base brain, we have a 3-layer triune brain. You have the reptilian brain. That came 150, 200 million years ago. And then you have the neocortex. That's where empathy and compassion, that's when animals stopped eating babies, their own babies. And then you have the neo, and that's your higher self. That's insight, hindsight, etc. When you get these frequencies, the message your body's getting is you're under a whole lot of pressure, stress. And so we immediately go into the cave and stay in the reptilian brain and can't use the higher consciousness, the empathy, the compassion. So we become manipulated by the own factuality. Our anatomy was originally like that.
I'm going to touch on a little bit about what Dr. Gabriel just said and put it into practice, and then I'll talk about the 5G. When there was Cuba and the embassy was being attacked, there was this big question, what was going on? What Gabriel said is they know from military experience that they can generate a specific frequency to get a specific response in the human body. It's a very precise military process. So when I heard it, I laughed because I knew exactly what they were doing when everyone was confused. It's been around for years and years, as Dr. Gabriel said.